Welcome to The Valley's Voice, Arizona Live's Legal Truths.
Hello and welcome to The Valley's Voice, Arizona Live's Legal Truths with Travis Meltzer, founder and managing attorney at Valley Injury Law. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and as a practicing attorney in both Arizona and Nevada, Travis leverages his defense experience to advocate for individuals injured due to others' negligence. His firm chooses quality over quantity, ensuring each client receives the dedicated support they need throughout their case. Travis, welcome. Great to have you.
Thanks, Kevin. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So today we're going to talk about what to do right after a car accident, even if you feel okay. What about this topic do you think is important?
Yeah, so people will always say, the accident wasn't that bad, or what should I do, or they're afraid of getting people involved. Ultimately, what it comes down to, even just to protect yourself, even if you're fine, call the police and make a report. That is the number one, I would say pretty darn close. There's a 1A and 1B. 1A is call the police. Even if you don't, let them tell you it's not that serious. Let them tell you they're behind. Let them tell you they can't show up. At the very least, it will create what's called a CAD report that'll at least show you tried. It shows basically you called in, they answered, they tried to send somebody, they ended up saying, hey, everybody's fine, or whatever it might be. Because that's really what it comes down to, is that's what I will end up using if the police report is developed or prepared. I'll use that to identify all the parties, get all the information. It's a great way for your attorney and even just you to file a claim with the other person's insurance. It's always a pain in the butt to file a claim without any information, let alone maybe a picture of some old document that they may or may not have. So really, call the police. Always get emergency vehicles involved and get that report prepared.
And then after that, obviously, assume this is all assuming that you're safe and not an ambulance or don't need medical care and all that stuff. We've talked about documentation. That is something that everyone I think knows, but in the moment, it's really hard to remember what you're supposed to do, remember all the documentation you need. Yeah. What is it that is most crucial for you to do your job when someone hires you? What documentation do you really hope they have?
Yeah. So in addition to the police report, at least some kind of document showing that you visited a doctor. Even if they felt great the day of the accident, I don't know about great, but at least not terribly hurt. I always compare car accidents to the gym. I think I said it before in a prior episode. You're never sore the day of, no matter how hard you work. Yeah. See how you are in the morning. You just never know. And worst case, you're fine. Or best case, best case, you're fine.
Yeah.
Worst case, yeah. So it just go see somebody, let them tell you you're okay. You might be sore the next day. That's the biggest thing that I see, and I'm sure everybody out there has gotten in that one car accident, gotten in a fender bender, they were fine, or at least they felt they were fine, until about maybe 2-3 days later. And then they need to go see somebody, but they already settled with the insurance company, or they didn't get an attorney. They have no idea. But the big thing is police report and go see treatment, start care, because that is the biggest connection for your injuries client's injuries to the accident. Otherwise, I have no connecting piece to continued care and continued pain.
What is the risk there in not seeing the medical professional? What could happen in a situation where you don't, and then you later find out that you actually are hurt?
Yeah, the big thing that would happen there is the insurance company. Well, one, it makes my job a hell of a lot harder. But beyond that, it's always the insurance company is going to look and pick and pry at every little bit to make your injury less substantial. So the more time that elapses between the car accident and you seeking care, that just leaves it an open window. The door slowly starts to open for an insurance adjuster or an attorney, defense attorney, to say, well, clearly you weren't hurt. You didn't seek treatment for a week. You didn't do anything like that. Or they'll try to blame it on something else. Sometimes, a week or two, hey, maybe did you pick up boxes? Do you have a physical job? Maybe that's why your back hurts. It's not this car accident. So the risk they run is completely possibly negating any care that they want and the injuries that were related to the accident, because it makes it very difficult for us to prove that they happened from that accident.
As far as what else to document at the scene, everyone knows, take photos. We all have a camera in our pocket these days. Yeah. But there's a lot of times I feel like where people are like, it's just a couple of scratches, no big deal, whatever. do you recommend people take lots of documentation regardless of the severity of the damage to the car?
Yeah. Take pictures of everything. Take pictures of your car, take pictures of the little scratches, take pictures of the big scratches on the back bumper, and take pictures of the other vehicle if you can. Now, I know, without getting any kind of conflict or anything like that, but I always try to say, at least try to get a picture of the other car as well, particularly when it comes to their license plate. This is a nice little gem here. Get their license plate, because what happens, particularly here in Arizona, we have a ton of uninsured drivers. So if you have a picture of the license plate and the vehicle type, it makes it much easier for us to do what's called a mandatory insurance check. If the insurance that was presented to the police officer at the scene was gone, or just wasn't it was inactive at the time. So for us, pictures of the scene, your car, anything surrounding you, candidly. The intersection is a big one too, particularly with the popularity of how cheap cameras are nowadays. So any business could have a camera. So if there's ever a dispute, we've sent investigators to the businesses surrounding accidents to see if there's any video of the accident. So really, you obviously want the damage of your car, some evidence of that. Also, when it's just a little scratch, sometimes it might just look like a little scratch, but your cars are designed that way. The bumper is designed to really take on that impact and transfer the force, without getting too much into it. Not a science guy, but transfer the force to the to the frame of the car. So I've seen lots of clients, very small damage, and then they take the bumper off and their frame is trashed, whether the car got under it, something like that. So pictures, and especially now everybody has a camera in their phone, in their pocket. So just use it, take pictures of everything and anything. Let us decide what's not relevant.
Yeah. Don't make the decision. More is better.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, after an accident, most of the time, the drivers involved will talk to each other. Hopefully it's not contentious. Hopefully it doesn't go bad. That's probably a discussion for another time. But what should someone say? What shouldn't someone say? Is there too much that sometimes people might give to the other drivers?
Yes, there is definitely too much. I would say there is never too little, is probably the best way to put it. Silence is the best. Obviously, everybody's human. It's okay to see if the other person is okay. That is completely all right. That's a human thing to do. It's all good. The issue on the other end of that is if the driver that hits you asks you if you're okay, and you say yes, there could be a possible issue filing a claim. Now, the day of, adrenaline, not that big of a deal. The biggest issue is apologizing. Even if you think it's your fault, or say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you, things like that, don't. Even if you know it was your fault, just don't say, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you, or anything like that. Because anything admitting fault, like they say in those law and order, it will be used against you at a later time, I can tell you. And so if you're there saying, I didn't see her, I was just looking left, or I was on my phone, no. Just say, hey, are you doing okay? And assuming the answer is yes, call the police and ask for the other person's insurance information. That's it. And then go back to your car. You'd be tempted to kind of talk and chat, and it's a stressful situation, but try to take a breath, go back to your car, and just wait for the police to get there. They'll talk to both parties. There's no need for each person to talk to each other for too much.
Yeah, and if you feel uncomfortable, just pretend to talk on your phone or
exactly.
something, or call somebody. Just pretend like you're talking to somebody, just avoid that conversation altogether. At least, like you said, check in, do the humanitarian thing, but don't do too much.
Exactly.
You mentioned the police reports, calling the police, getting the police report. What information is in that police report that ends up being useful to you later on?
Yeah, so much. So just the basic information, name, primarily for the other driver that's involved, right? So we'll get the name, their insurance company, the contact information, the claims, their policy number will generally be on there. Additionally, it'll be their address, the defendant or the person who hit you, their address, as well as license plate, make and model. And like I said before, what's important with the make and model is if that insurance was invalid or inactive, we have a chance at looking for other insurance policies out here. Also, with the name and address, in the event a case goes to litigation where we're not able to resolve it with the insurance company, we have to file a complaint, that address is important because much like, again, everybody sees on the TV, those process servers that pretend to be pizza people, real pizza delivery guys, those are real people. So I have to get it served. And so that's where the service would end up starting. Also, if there's ever witnesses, their information will be stored on there. If the police talk to them, the police's opinion, the police officer's opinion will generally be on there, kind of like a summary of the report, as well as sometimes they'll even put a diagram of what they believe happened. So it's great because at some point, their opinion may or may not matter. The case right now, that the police officer's opinion after the accident may be the make or break part of my client's case, because she's saying that it is the other person's fault, while everybody, including the other person, obviously, is saying it's my client's fault. The police officer, for once, was finally on our side here with the report. And so it's one of those things that will rarely hurt in cases when you get a police report, but will absolutely help in cases because there's just a bunch of information. And again, makes my job easier, makes their time easier dealing with me. It just a lot of less questions. So police report, police report, police report.
You brought up a good point of the witness statements too, because that's one thing that I think is tough, because if the police aren't there and there's witnesses there, you have to kind of, can you just go and get their information? Like, how do you handle the witness side of things? It's kind of an awkward situation. Like, what do you recommend there?
Yeah, I mean, yes. So call police, they would handle the witnesses. Now, if people leave, and that's always the thing, I think that's kind of the gray area where people will see it and they just will leave, and because they don't want to deal with police, which it's never an easy thing. So yeah, the best thing to do is get your bearings, see where everybody is, and if you see anybody that saw the accident, at the very least ask. I mean, you can always say, hey, did you see the accident? If they did, can I just get your first name and phone number if they're uncomfortable with it? And we'll give that to the police, or I'll give that to an attorney. But yeah, I mean, it's an awkward thing, but ultimately what it comes down to is that those witness statements or possible witness statements or testimony can make or break a case. And especially when one person's saying one thing, another person saying the other, there's no tiebreaker, so to speak. So the more independent witnesses that anybody can get, the better. And again, it just kind of fills in those pieces. Human memory is weird. So anytime you're talking a big picture as opposed to you just reacting as a driver, whatever the situation might be, it's much easier for the attorney and candidly the insurance company to evaluate your claim when we have a much more complete picture. Otherwise, it's like painting by numbers where you don't have the numbers. It's rough.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. How soon should someone consider calling a lawyer after an accident?
Yeah. So honestly, as soon as possible, call the police first. Obviously, get the treatment you need, get the police officers. But honestly, as soon as you can. And the primary reason for that is insurance companies. The big thing is because insurance companies will do their best to take advantage of people in accidents. They'll flash money. They'll say, hey, here's $1,500 plus whatever reasonable expenses are. And people see, okay, great, cash, and I can get everything fixed and I can go get my treatment. So they're there to pretend, or at the very least, act like they're on your side. Their job is to make this go away. When you have an attorney, just letting them know that we did sign you as a client and we will be your main contact point. So we'll kind of be that in between for you. So you don't even have to deal with the insurance company anymore. They'll be hounding us instead. So that's my biggest reason. The other reason, maybe, in certain terms, is treatment, only because with personal injury, treatment is not only important, obviously, for your personal health, but to prove the case. And not all doctors are comfortable doing personal injury because their notes are very important. They become scrutinized by the insurance company. They make themselves possible witnesses. So what we have is a good network of providers, medical providers, doctors, surgeons, anything you can really think of, that are okay with all of that, or are okay with their notes being scrutinized, or are okay being witnesses. They're very well aware of what the insurance company's looking for, and it'll make your life easier. So other than that, really just call the police, get the treatment you need, and call an attorney just before you do something you might regret.
And once you're on board, your client doesn't really have to talk to anybody outside without you, right?
Correct. Yeah, the only ones. Yeah, the only ones they really have to talk to, I mean, is other than their medical providers, and even then, if they need help setting an appointment or anything like that, we're more than happy to do it. But yeah, we become their hub of information, and we're on their side, as opposed to somebody who didn't get an attorney and is just dealing with the adjuster. The adjuster is that person that will pretend they are on your side and also be the hub. So we kind of take that place where we are completely looking out for their needs and any of the any treatment that they might need, but also just let them live their life. The life goes on. Let us deal with all of that stuff. You just get better. That's my biggest thing. That's what we tell everybody on every intake. Don't worry, we're here. You just get better.
If there was one thing you wished people either knew or made sure they did when they got into an accident, what would that be?
Yeah, beyond everything we talked about. The biggest,
Everything pretty much?
yeah, everything. No, I mean, the biggest one, and I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but the big one is, call the police just to develop a record of these accidents. And
do a lot of people not?
so a lot of people are not, simply because, beyond the political landscape around this country, but they don't want police involved when they don't feel like they need to be involved. So it's one of the things where a lot of folks are seeing police as only emergencies. Well, yes, fender bender is not your, shooting down the road or something like that, but it's an emergency in the situation that somebody might be hurt. So people, unfortunately, naturally will look at their situation and think, I'm fine. They're stubborn people. We just are. I get it. I would do the same thing. I'm fine. It's all good. Don't worry about it. That's the biggest thing, is just take a second, get the right people involved. I always say, look, I'm not a doctor, but when you're sick, most of the time you should. Now, granted, I've been sick a few times where I'm like, I'm fine, and it got worse. But same thing, you call a doctor. At the very least, the doctor will say, you know what, you're fine. Here's the Advil, go home. Same thing with the attorney. We might just say, hey, look, you could do this on your own. It's not worth you getting an attorney. Or we could point out things that you would have never thought of. So really, it's just call us. There's a lot of things that you might not know. And worst case, you could do exactly what you wanted to anyway. But really, I just want people to have the opportunity to get all the information they need and not get tricked or kind of tricked into settling a case for much less than it's worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something they might regret later when medical bills start rolling in.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right. Great advice. All right. Well, thanks for listening to today's episode of The Valley's Voice. For more information, you can contact Travis at azvalleyinjurylaw.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave us a review. We greatly appreciate it. Travis, awesome having you here. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thanks so much, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.